carry. It's gone. Number 500 and history for Miguel Cabrera.
Bottom line is, man, it's hard to break us now. It's hard to break us. As a matter of fact, you ain't going to do it.
Open look going as he hits it.
What a play called by Tom Izzo in that timeout.
I was 7 years old watching a football game by myself, and I saw those winged helmets come out of the tunnel, and I was hooked at that point.
Hayden, Chicago. Oh, my God.
Hayden with the overtime winner.
Jameer Gibbs to the end zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. You can't cover that man one-on-one. You just can't do it.
He drives lob to JD for a jam.
You play real good, you start. You don't play as good, you work your way back in. It's the American way, except America has gotten soft. But that is the American way. That's the way it works.
This is the 6'6" Cunningham. Jameson Williams, he's got it. Touchdown, Lions.
Now it's Larkin with a burst of speed. He scores. Gives the United States the lead for the first time tonight.
Well, Dylan Larkin will have a chance to do that tonight against Vegas. Welcome, everybody, to a Wednesday edition of X's and Bros throughout the wonderful state of Michigan. Thank you for being with us. I'm Matt Shepard. Trent Bally, our producer. Cavs get a little redemption in the win over the Pistons last night, 113-109. Turnovers, an absolute killer. Detroit coughed it up 13 times, shot just 38% from three. Cleveland hit 17 triples. Jalen Duren pumps in 24 points, grabs 13 rebounds. Cade Cunningham held to just 10 points on 4 of 16 shooting. Now, he did have 14 assists. Also had 5 turnovers. When I watch Cade Cunningham, I probably expect too much. I'll be the first to admit that. I think he's the MVP of the league. I think he's the best guard in the league as well. Some people have said, Shep, what about Anthony Edwards? Look at their career games through the first 58 games. Cade Cunningham's got better numbers than Anthony Edwards. Edwards does a spray commercial. Edwards gets loud. Edwards is a self-promoter. He's a really good player. I'm not saying he's not. He's a great player, man. And he'll play for Team USA, and I'll be happy. I'll be cheering him on, whatever. But I'll take Cade Cunningham. I think what we're noticing against the really good teams, and look, Cleveland's sitting there going, yeah, we're without Donovan Mitchell. Okay, yeah, we know that. We actually had an issue last night because one of our bigs got hurt in Jared Allen. Okay, yeah, we get that. We've had some guys out who we could really use and could really be a major factor for us. We get that. Pistons have had that this year. Okay, so what? I mean, teams have won without some of their key players all season long. Okay? Even with their key players. Milwaukee got Giannis Antetokounmpo back the other night. Had another double-double. Got their ass kicked. I don't care. Play with who you have. Those guys are supposed to be pros too. And they're supposed to help you in times of need. Your opportunity to shine. We talk about it all season long with the Pistons. Who in the hell heard of Dennis Jenkins? Well, you have now because of that opportunity. Who in the hell heard of Javonte Green? You have now because of the opportunities that he was given, he earned, and then took advantage of. So that's fine. My concern with the Pistons moving forward will be if Cade Cunningham isn't playing well, and you could argue whether he did or not last night, because the assists are impressive, but he's got to score. If he doesn't shoot well, oh well. But if he can score, that's key for you, right? 10 points from Cade Cunningham, you're going to have a harder time winning. It's not that you can't win, but you're going to have a really hard time winning. Cleveland, perhaps better than Detroit, can get away with certain things. They had a little bit more balance. They had James Harden with 18. They had Evan Mobley with 18. They had Jalen Tyson with 22. Who would have thought that? Dennis Schroeder came off the bench, had 15. Good player for them. Good pickup for Cleveland. Cavs get the win. It's not a huge deal as far as I'm concerned, outside of maybe That one fact that I don't think the turnovers are going to be a long-term problem for this team. This team is not turnover prone, I don't believe. But the Cade Cunningham thing, his inability to score in certain games is an issue. And I've said that. I mean, it happened against San Antonio. You can get away with it against certain teams. Against good teams, it's going to be a serious issue. And this is why perhaps some national analysts are a little leery of whether or not Detroit can actually do this in a 7-game series against fill in the blank. Because if Cade Cunningham has a couple of off nights, or he's not scoring, because the off nights can be offset, right? If you're 10 of 30, that's a bad night, but you're getting over 20 points, and you can live with it. You don't want it to be a habit, but you can live with it. If you're getting to the free throw line a lot, that's going to help you. Victor Wembanyama didn't shoot real well for San Antonio when they came into the LCA and beat Detroit. But what he did do is he got to the free throw line. If you can get to the free throw line, that's great. That's gravy. But Cade Cunningham, you could argue, doesn't always get the calls. Okay. He went to the line twice last night, you guys. 2 for 2. He has to score for the Pistons. You may not think that because he's a really good all-around player. Shep, all he's got to do is be able to deliver the passes. If he can make a difference on the glass and so on and so forth. No. This team doesn't have the shooting depth, and especially if there are guys who aren't putting the ball in the hole like Duncan Robinson wasn't last night. You can talk about his 2 blocks and raise the flag for that all you want. I don't care. That's not why he's here. And it sure as hell isn't why he's on the floor. Asar Thompson's supposed to block shots. Isaiah Stewart's supposed to block shots. Jalen Duren is supposed to block shots. I don't care if Duncan Robinson does. I got guys who can play defense. Defense travels. Defense wins championships. All that other stuff. Great. You also have to score. I don't care if you're in football, baseball, hockey, basketball. You got to score. And Cade Cunningham has to score for this team to be successful. It's not rocket science. Cunningham was named Eastern Conference Player of the Month in February. Why do you think Detroit went 9-2 in the month of February? Cade Cunningham. Did he really score, Shep? Yeah, he averaged 25.5 points a game. He averaged 10 assists, which is great, and 6.5 boards, but he shot 47% from the floor, and he averaged 25.5 points a game. As I mentioned, Red Wings hosting Vegas tonight. Golden Knights beat Detroit 1-0 in early November. Come in having lost 2 in a row. They lead the Pacific with 70 points, but have just 28 wins. What's the poll question? The Mitch Lineswell poll question of the day. Which center should the Red Wings trade for? Robert Thomas of St. Louis. Heard Buffalo is the leading candidate there. Elias Pettersson from Vancouver. Vincent Trocheck for the Rangers, or other. Thomas, you would have to give up more for. He's 26. He's really a first-line center on a good team or on a bad team. Pettersson, you'd have to probably give up more than Trocheck. He's 27. Trocheck's under a much more cap-friendly deal. I like Trocheck. I mean, personally, I like Robert Thomas, but I would take Trocheck over Pettersson. My fear is that the Red Wings, I don't know if it's the sweetest connection, like Pettersson a little bit more. As I said yesterday, I think he's a little bit too much like some of the guys that they have. Anyway, you can vote as often as you want. We've put it on our Twitter handle, @XBMornings, and I'll retweet it, @ShepMatt. All right? When we come back, somebody had an anonymous quote about the Pistons. JB Bickerstaff getting some national love. And we'll talk a lot of NFL this morning as well as we continue to discuss the David Montgomery trade to Houston. This is X's and Bros on a Wednesday morning. We're brought to you by Mitch Lyons Wealth.
You've worked hard for decades saving in pre-tax retirement plans like 401ks and IRAs, saving on taxes now. But as your retirement now approaches, you're going to get taxed at rates you have no control over. Hi, I'm Mitch Lyons, founder of Mitch Lyons Wealth. Your 401k balance isn't worth what your statement says. You could lose thousands of dollars to taxes, and those distributions can impact other areas of your retirement like Social Security and Medicare. Could a Roth IRA conversion be of help to you? You've probably heard of Roth conversions, but it can be confusing. Should you convert all at once or over time? Where should you pay the taxes from? How do you know for sure? Get our free personalized Roth Blueprint analysis today to find out exactly what makes sense for you. Your Roth Blueprint could potentially increase your lifetime wealth by thousands of dollars. So get your free Roth Blueprint today. Text Blueprint to 844-867-8335. That's Blueprint to 844-867-8335. Or go to MitchLionsWealth.com, your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement.
Grocery shopping is a good deal better at Meijer with low prices on fresh favorites like select bulk apples, just $1.29 a pound. Certified Angus beef chuck roast and fresh from Meijer whole chickens are buy one, get one 50% off. Plus, earn a $10 coupon when you spend $100 or more in-store March 4th through the 10th. Coupon printed at checkout. Then redeem your $10 coupon March 11th through the 17th. Bringing home more of what you love for less. That's the good life at Meijer. Exclusions apply. See all deals in the Meijer app.
The Freddie the Pizza Man Foundation is dedicated to providing support to families and Michigan schools touched by autism. We invite you to join us in supporting these families and schools by making a donation at FreddieThePizzaMan.com. With your donation, you can help provide essential resources that can make a real impact. Visit FreddieThePizzaMan.com to make a donation and to learn more about the foundation's mission. That's FREDI, Together, we can make a difference.
The Michigan Sports Network is your exclusive home for X's and Bros with Matt Shepard and The Huge Show later today at 3 p.m.
Felt good. Sure, felt really good just to be back with the squad, and to be able to be around the guys and being out there and trying to, just compete with them is a great feeling.
That's Isaiah Stewart. Good to see him back in a Pistons uniform for sure. It's going to take some time, obviously, because he missed 7 games. And, of course, there was also the All-Star break. So all that is part of it. This was – I don't know how long – what's the long-term effect? I don't. And you don't either, okay, because last night he wasn't effective at all, okay? Okay, he had a block. Good job. Way to go. The frustrating thing that I had about his actions prior to, the fight in Charlotte, with Miles Bridges and so on and so forth coming off the bench in the 7 games, which I was actually glad that he only got 7. My frustration was that, how is this going to affect? Now, Detroit did really well without him. Okay. I don't think he was the reason that they lost last night, but he played 22 minutes, had 4 points and 2 boards. Those numbers are going to go up. There's no question. Okay. He's going to be better than that. But it takes you a little bit out of a rhythm. It takes you out of a flow. It takes your team out of a flow. You're shoehorning him back in, and not that Paul Reed's better, but Paul Reed doesn't play, and he's been really effective lately. And, well, it just disrupts things. And it's not that I don't like toughness. If you've listened to this show, you know I do. That's why I think what have I said about the Red Wings at the trade deadline? I would like to see them get a little more edge. Who do I always like in NFL drafts? I like the guys up front. I like the linemen who are tough dudes. Who's been my favorite Lions players? Jack Campbell and Frank Ragnow. 2 guys who are really tough hombres. It doesn't always mean, though, that you come off a bench and you're getting ready to fight people. And it's like, wow, he's sticking up for his teammate. Do you think Jalen Duren needs anybody to come to his aid in a one-on-one situation? Who the hell is going to fight that man? And if they are, I mean, it's Jack Reacher all over again. I'm not going to sit here and say Isaiah Stewart has to drastically change. But he does have to learn from some of these mistakes. Because as much as you and I love grabbing the shirt and telling everybody it's Detroit, 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 I'd rather have this team win basketball games with him doing what he does best. Playing low post defense, rebounding basketballs, altering shots, and making layups. Hard to do that when you're in street clothes. Hard to do that when you're giving up thousands and thousands of dollars in NBA fines. You want to protect your family, your on-court family? You should. I don't blame you one bit. Let's be smart about doing it moving forward. Because the next time you do what you did in Charlotte, it's going to be even worse. And who cares about the financial aspect? It doesn't cost me a dime out of my pocket. I'm talking about, from a selfish standpoint, my favorite basketball team. I want them to win. You give them a better chance to win, but not when you're off 2 weeks and not in quote-unquote game shape. Let's be smarter about it, for crying out loud. And see, it only lasts a moment. The next day, everyone's like, yeah, God, come on, Trent, let's go, baby. We're Detroit, man. We're metal. We're steel. We're tough. It's Detroit versus everybody, man. Yeah. And a couple weeks later, you're like, man, really could use Isaiah Stewart here. Oh, yeah, no kidding. It's a really short feeling. Anyway, last night or before the game, and I don't know where this comes from, apparently there was an anonymous quote from the Cavs locker room. about the Pistons. And here's the quote. It's about them not being in the same class. Did you read this at all? Did you see anything about this? Yeah. JB Bickerstaff said, I have no response. If you mean it, you don't say it anonymously.
I love that response.
So do I.
That is all the response you need. It's perfect.
That's it. It's all that's required. No question. What do you mean? You don't think Detroit's in your class, even though Detroit has punked you already, even though Detroit has the best record in the East, even though they have the best player on the floor on a night-to-night basis. What has happened, or what is happening, do you think, in the NBA sphere that has people chirping a little bit and doubting this team? Because it's real. You've seen national people still favor the Knicks, which is beyond belief. You have other teams who are out there, like Cleveland, saying that they're really not that good. In so many words, they're a regular season team.
I still think they're just viewed as a young team that's up and coming. And I think people have to realize at some point, like you and I always talk about, Shep, it's not always linear. At some point, they could go from being out in the first round to making an NBA Finals. That could happen. That happens to teams sometimes. And I just think that people look at the Knicks, they look at the Celtics, even a team like the 76ers in the East, they just take them more seriously. Wrongfully so.
I don't know how they could take the Sixers seriously. I think you're right about the Celtics. I think you're right about the Knicks. We have a belief, and maybe I'm in the minority here, and I could be way off base. We have a belief specifically in basketball that you have to learn your lesson. We believe that nothing can come too soon. You have to go through some quote-unquote wars.
Growing pains.
You have to have some battle scars before you can reach the top. Who's the favorite in the West right now? Is it still OKC, do you think? Or is it San Antonio? San Antonio's the second favorite. Can you tell me about their ascension?
Nope, and I'm glad you brought that up because they are Pistons West. I mean, those two teams have kind of mirrored each other. I mean, the Pistons at least made the playoffs last year where the Spurs didn't. But as far as having a young superstar that everyone respects and then a bunch of young and up-and-comers, if you want to call it that, that's how the national scope sees it,
Absolutely. That's exactly what happens. And we're under a belief, and again, like I said, maybe I'm wrong here. We're under a belief that, well, it doesn't matter how you do in the regular season. It's all about the postseason. That's pretty obvious. But when we talk about having to get some battle scars in the postseason, besides our Pistons and the Bulls, which we'd love to recoup, we'd love to reflect back on that. Well, the Pistons had to get by the Celtics. Who did the Celtics have to get by? Do you know? What prevented Larry Bird in Boston from getting to the finals? Don't say 83 against Philadelphia because they were playing and Boston was playing in the finals before that.
They had already won a championship before that, I believe, right?
Correct. So can you tell me who they needed to get by in order to get there?
No.
You can't.
There isn't one.
Exactly. We use our experience of the Pistons. Celtics were on our way. Then we got there. We were in the way of the Bulls. Then Mike got there. Why didn't it work for Portland? I'm just wondering. They couldn't break through.
Or any of the teams Michael Jordan played. Any of them.
Utah was pretty good back then. Historically, they were winning their division.
Yeah, that's fair. But the first three-peat, Portland again, like you just mentioned, they made the finals. Phoenix never got back, right?
Yeah.
The Supersonics never got back.
It's just an example of what we've experienced. Our phone number on the Meyer hotline is 866-838-4843. Text Sports Radio 21,000. Really got a good show today. Looking forward to it for sure. Tim Hardaway Sr. is going to join us. We'll talk about this and more at 8:18. 7:35, John Macarone will join us too from the Detroit podcast about the Lions. That's all coming up here on X's and Bros on a Wednesday morning, brought to you by Mitch Lyons Wealth.
Grocery shopping is a good deal better at Meijer with low prices on fresh favorites like select bulk apples, just $1.29 a pound. Certified Angus beef chuck roast and fresh from Meijer whole chickens are buy one, get one 50% off. Plus, earn a $10 coupon when you spend $100 or more in-store March 4th through the 10th. Coupon printed at checkout. Then redeem your $10 coupon March 11th through the 17th. Bringing home more of what you love for less. That's the good life at Meijer. Exclusions apply. See all deals in the Meijer app.
Hey, when you travel, you want low fares, you want reliable service, and you want a direct flight. Avelo Air gives you all of that and more. Avelo Air has direct flights to take Tigers fans to spring training in Lakeland. Avelo Air will take you from Grand Rapids to Lakeland directly on Thursdays and Sundays. They will take you directly from Detroit to Lakeland on Wednesdays and Saturdays. You literally land 20 minutes from the ballpark. You don't have to wait in lines. You don't have to worry about any of that other hassle. This is hassle-free travel like you deserve. Go to AveloAir.com and get $20 off a base fare round-trip flight to Lakeland when you book your trip by March 31st. All you have to do is use the code HUGE. That's HUGE on AveloAir.com. Restrictions do apply. See AveloAir.com for details today.
You're listening to X's and Bros with Matt Shepard on the Michigan Sports Network. We'll be right back after this break, but while you're waiting, be sure to vote on our daily poll question presented by MitchLyonsWealth.com at XB Mornings on X.
Tigers lose to the Dominican Republic yesterday. Their WBC team. No shame in that per se. Kevin McGonigal continues to super impress. I mean, dude's 21 years old. He's amazing. He has been so on point. And it's not even just like leadoff home run, okay? It's not even that. It's his approach more than anything else that I look at and I'm like, man, that dude is fun to watch. If spring training ended tomorrow, he should be your starting shortstop. Fair enough? Okay.
Absolutely.
So here's the issue, though. We don't. We want to be first and not right. We want to, the knee-jerk reaction in our society is heightened by highlights and everything on social media. Again, if it started tomorrow, he would be my starting shortstop. You play 32 spring training games. He's played 8. He's played a quarter of the year. He does not look like the kind of player who's going to go into this massive slump and suddenly he's going to come out of spring training hitting a .188. No. It's going to be super hard to hit over 400, but he sure looks like a guy who's comfortable in his position, and he looks like he's a ball player. I mean, he's the real deal by most accounts. The amount of people, though, are like, this guy's got to go north. This guy's got to make this team. He's got to be your starting shortstop. Can't we pump the brakes for just a moment and just look at him and say, this kid looks really good. I love the way this guy plays. Why do we have to automatically shove everything forward so quickly? Let him enjoy it. Let us enjoy watching him. And let's see how he deals with some adversity. He's going to have some in the spring.
And that's exactly it. Once we shove it forward so quickly, then once he does face adversity, we're just as quick to rip on him.
Exactly.
At least that's how it was with Torkelson, infamously.
That's the way it is with everybody. Everybody. Bryce Young, I don't care. Pick a young player. Who's going through it right now? J.J. McCarthy. Kyler Murray's going to Minnesota. The Vikings will get a 4th and a 7th rounder from somebody if they trade J.J. McCarthy. I'm not saying that they shouldn't. I'm just saying young guys go through this. We want to rush them, and then we want to tear them down. How you doing, Jace Young? How you doing, Parker Meadows? You're right about Torkelson and Riley Green. Let's just hold on a second. Instead of us all watching him hit a homer of 461 feet, measuring that up compared to the longest homer the Tigers hit a year ago, and start comparing him to Bobby Witt Jr., and start telling everybody on social media how smart we are, why don't we just take a breath? The same thing happened with Max Clark. Max Clark makes 2 poor plays in left field. First time he's played left field, I believe. At least in spring training. He might have played some in the Arizona Fall League. And we're going to judge him based on the chains that he wears. That's what it is. It's okay to have bling and everything else. And it's okay for Ronald Acuna to have the size of a statue around his neck while he swings the bat. But not 21-year-old Max Clark. We're going to judge him based on how he looks rather than how he handles himself. I don't know if you saw what he said when all these people were ripping on him, including a friend of mine, C.J. Nitkowski, who I greatly respect. I think he's fabulous. He was great in Texas as an analyst. I think he's great in Atlanta, and I listen to his radio show on a regular basis. I think he's very, very good. One of the better analysts in all of baseball. But while the Tigers were playing the Braves last week, CJ said there's no chance that there was a kid who had never been to the big leagues coming into camp like that during my old man heyday. No chance. And he was talking about the chains that Max Clark was wearing. Well, that caught people's attention, as did the poor play on fly balls. And how many people are out there going, you know what? This kid's a bust. This kid's full of himself. Automatically judging him. It's funny in this society, man. Don't judge that person on the color of their hair, on their tattoos, on their earrings, on their nose rings, or anything else like that. But then you can judge a 21-year-old kid who's got chains around his neck and made 2 errors in the same inning. Clark said this. I don't care what they have to say. I love this. This endears him to me. I'm not a big bling guy either. I mean, I like nice jewelry, but if I were playing Major League Baseball, which I never could have, I would not wear 6 or 7 chains. I'd wear a nice one. Justin Jefferson wearing a big chain and having the grill is okay. Max Clark wearing more than 1 chain. No. Be careful. Clark said this. I don't care what they have to say, to be completely honest with you. People don't know me. There's a lot of people out there that will do anything for some monetary clicks. He's with it, man. He knows. I've been dealing with this since I was 15. It's part of the game. It's part of the process. And it's only going to get worse. People love to talk about things that they have no clue about. So true. They don't know how I was raised. My mom was a special ed teacher. My dad drove semis. I grew up in a 2-story house, loving God and serving him. And just for people to go out there and say stuff like that, I'm sleeping fine at night. I can promise you that. One day, they're going to have to look in the mirror and answer that question themselves. This might be the best part of the quote. I get to wake up each and every day and play a child's game for money. Notice he didn't say, I'd play it for free. Yeah. Surrounded by 3 probable Hall of Famers. Who are they? This is where I stop. I'm like, Justin Verlander. Anybody else?
Well, he's projecting with Eric Skubal for sure. He's projecting. Yeah, I know. I'm just saying that's what he's thinking.
No, you're right. He said probable.
Then I don't know who the third would be.
That's a pretty big reach for a guy who's won 46 games, 56 games.
I know. I agree with you.
Who would the third one be? Is it Miguel Cabrera in camp? Is it Alan Trammell in camp? That's where my mind
could
went.
be. Yeah.
Your mind went Skubal, and I get it. I went Cabrera in camp and Trammell in camp. Trammell's already a Hall of Famer. Anyway, I digress. 6 All-Stars. Green, Skubal, Verlander, McKinstry, Baez,
Torres,
right. 15 Gold Gloves. That one shocked me. I don't think he's just pulling this out of the air. I think he's processed this.
He knows these things. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's a smart kid. I mean, besides Dingler, Baez has got 1, right?
Yeah,
anyway,
he's more than 1, I think, but
I thought he only had 1.
Maybe he does.
I could be wrong there. Anyway, and he says, and a manager who's won the World Series and who also played. They support me, they love me, and we work each and every day for that. It's a fantastic quote. It's perfect. It really is. You don't know who I am. You don't know who he is. You're going to judge him because how many people, when they made young athletes, I don't care what sport, and their first purchase bought a nice car, 4-door Mercedes, Lamborghini, whatever. We judging them? No. You know why? They don't drive their car in left field. It may not be my style. It may not be your style. It's his. So what? We don't know a damn thing about the kid. Except this. I talked to a scout when the Tigers drafted him. And I wanted Langford. And they took Max Clark, and the scout called me and says, Shep, you're going to like this kid. He's got the best tools of anybody in the draft from an outfielder standpoint. I'm like, okay, cool. And I trust this scout. He's been doing it for a long, long time. That was not a Tiger scout. Has nothing to do with the Tigers. He scouts for other teams. He's 21 years old, but he speaks like he's 31. And I saw somebody on social media, a friend who I follow, said, why are we talking about this 21-year-old like he's a kid? He's a grown man. He's not a grown man yet. You're not a grown man at 21. He grew up, obviously in Indiana, but he grew up at 18 playing with grown men. So he's still a kid in terms of baseball standpoint. He is. He hasn't played a Major League Baseball game yet. He's going to be this team's starting center fielder at some point this year. I'm convinced that he will, if he starts at AA, AAA, whatever. He's going to start at either AA or AAA, and I think he's going to have a really good start to the season. I think he's going to put his head down. I think he's going to work his ass off like he always does. I think he's going to showcase all the skill set that he has. Fielding, hitting, running. He's not a five-tool player, okay? He's not like, it's not like he's got Jesse Barfield's arm in center field. He doesn't, okay? Jesse Barfield was a right fielder, but anyway, he's had one of the best arms from right field. He had a hose. But he's going to be a really good baseball player for the Tigers. And I think here's what's happening. People are like, okay, he's the first-round pick. McGonigal's the second-round pick. Why is McGonigal better? Well, he's a better hitter right now. It's okay. I would guess Max Clark is probably the better fielder in general. And I know you may be shaking your head going, oh, did you see what he did in left field? Sunballs, sometimes it happens. Not judging a guy on one flipping inning of a God-blessed spring training game who's wearing sunglasses and a few chains. If you are that, if that's all you use on the surface of somebody, like you're just watching highlights, you're not even watching him play. You're not in the stands watching him on a regular basis, make adjustments and all this other thing. You haven't watched him work at his craft in practice or anything else like that. All it is people seeing one moment and how he wore his chains around his neck, and you're deciding who he is and what he's going to be. That is pretty sorry. Our phone number on the Miller Hotline is 866-838-4843. Text us, Sports Radio 21000. As always, Freddie, our man, in the morning, gives us this. Shep, anyone that watched that game yesterday couldn't say to themselves, man, Harden running the point here on this team would be the favorites to win the finals. He's exactly what they needed without giving up much. Risk, reward for the prize. Well, they did give up. Darius Garland was an all-star a year ago. They did give up. They chose to go all in right now. They are 8-1 when James Harden plays. I'm surprised at how quickly he and Cleveland have adapted to one another. To me, he seems like a different player. He's not a good defensive player. In fact, I was watching the game with somebody last night, and Harden had just come off a really nice sweep behind the back pass. His teammate missed it, led to a transition. And I said, and the person said to me, man, that guy he's such a good passer. I said, yeah, he's probably an underrated passer. I said, but he sucks defensively. And he's just backpedaling, stopped at the free throw line, and I think Asar Thompson blew right by him. That's who he is, okay? You have to, at some point, you got to accept who an athlete is once in a while. You want him to be everything and more, but you're not. Jared Goff, you really like. I do too. You want him to be fleet-footed like Josh Allen. He's not. So accept it. You can complain about it all you want. On a Monday morning after a Sunday loss because Jared Goff was trying to get away and somebody who weighs 355 pounds in the defensive tackle position caught him from behind, you're going to call in and say, see, this is why you need a mobile quarterback. And I get it, okay? I understand all that. But that's not who he is. I've accepted mostly what certain players are when they get later on in life. I haven't accepted, for example, who Jalen Duren is yet because I think he can get better. I think he's going to be better. I think he's going to expand his game. I truly do. With a guy like James Harden, this is who he is. He's never going to be a defensive player. but he seems like he has changed a little bit in the sense of being able to distribute the ball more, not always ball hogging the basketball, not always shooting. Made some big threes yesterday. Looks like he's fit in really well with Cleveland. Of course, it helps when you win, right? But 8-1 with him. Some team in this town needs to show some more kahunas. You get one choice right now. Tigers signed Scooble today to 7 years, $325 million. McGonigal, 12 years, $325 million. Riley Green, 7 years, $175 million, 25 per year. Ooh, I don't know, man. I think you know how I feel about pitchers. This is not an indictment on Tarek Scooble by any stretch. It's, I'm not signing him to $46 million a year, not for 7 years. Okay. I don't need him pitching at age 37. I don't. All right. Or 36. McGonigal, 12 years. He's 21. I'm always looking at how long am I going to have that player and at what age are they going to be done? He'd be done at 33. I would do that. All right. I don't know about $25 million a year. He's played 8 games in the spring. In the spring. I mean, who's he facing? I know yesterday that's hits the home run, also gets another RBI. I get that off DR, but some of the other games, I'm not taking anything away from him. I told you, if the season started tomorrow, I'd start him at shortstop. Probably bat him leadoff, for crying out loud. Seriously, that's how comfortable he looks. I'm not signing a guy 12 years, $25 million per year when he's had 8 spring training games. Hold on. Riley Green, 7 years, $175 million, $25 million per year. I'd probably do that. Yeah. I think he's going to be a middle of the lineup player for you for a long time. I know. You're frustrated. It's always going to come back to haunt him. Never, certain players, you're never living it down. You're not. You never live down the high moments. Chauncey Billups, Mr. Big Shot. And sometimes you're never going to live down the low moments. 200 plus strikeouts for Riley Green. He's never living.
And he doesn't care about the strikeouts.
That's what he said.
Yeah.
And that was the biggest mistake of all. Right? One sound clip.
Yeah, I'm just being a jackass, but yeah.
No, you're not. I mean, you're right. It's just what everybody's going to remember. That was a quick hour. It's been brought to you by Mitch Lyons Wealth and MitchLyonsWealth.com. 7:35, John Macarone from the Detroit Podcast joins us to talk a little Lions here on X's and Bros. Glad you're with us on a Wednesday morning.
Mitch Lyons here, founder of Mitch Lyons Wealth, where we create your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement. I'm here with Tiger legend Kirk Gibson, who we are proud to support and partner with on the newly opened Kirk Gibson Center for Parkinson's Wellness.
Thanks, Mitch. We appreciate your support, and we are excited to have recently opened the center in Farmington Hills. It provides exercise therapy and educational programs that are helping the Parkinson's community. Just like Mitch Lyons Wealth helps improve the quality for their clients' retirements. This center helps improve the quality of life for people with Parkinson's.
And Gibby, the best part of all is that access to the center is available to the Parkinson's community free of charge, right?
That's right, absolutely free of charge for people with Parkinson's and their care partners.
You hit a couple of the most famous home runs in Major League history, Gibby, but I feel that your greatest hit will be the positive impact that Kirk Gibson Center is making in the fight against Parkinson's.
Mitch, since my diagnosis, I get up every day and focus on winning that day. This center encourages others to do the same.
Awesome, Gibby. To learn more, go to kirkgibsoncenter.org.
What's up, Michigan? You're listening to my good friend Shep. The Huge Show is coming up later today at 3, right here on the Michigan Sports Network.
Hear that? That's the sound of saving a good deal more when you shop with M-Perks at Meijer. Some delicious Cosmic Crisp apples, money saved. Meijer Essential Paper Towels, that's money saved. Savings, savings, savings. Because every dollar spent is also points earned in M-Perks, which you can use to save on your next grocery trip or up to $1 off per gallon on your next tank of gas. At Meijer, we work hard to help you save a good deal more for a whole lot less. That's bringing more good to life. Exclusions apply. See mperks.com for details.
Farrah's Coffee has been family owned and operated for over 100 years. Its popular Den Blend and Dark Roast is more than coffee and more than the official coffee of the Detroit Lions. It's a call to rise. Farrah's Coffee and the Lions are the perfect match. They embrace those who show up early, cheer loud, and never back down. Den Blend is perfectly roasted in Grand Rapids and provides the ultimate fuel for fans who wake up and roar. Whether you're tailgating at the game or cheering from your couch, Den Blend is your go-to coffee for your game day ritual.
Avello Airlines knows you love the Tigers because they love them too. It's why they have direct flights to Lakeland, Florida out of both Grand Rapids and Detroit. Thursdays and Sundays are nonstop out of GR, and Wednesdays and Saturdays are nonstop out of Detroit. So wherever you are in Michigan, you can get down to spring training to watch your Tigers. With everyday low fares, reliable service, you do not want to fly any other way. Head to AvelloAir.com to book your trip now. That's AVELO air.com and use code HUGE for $20 off a round-trip base fare if you book before March 31st. Restrictions do apply.
Huge here for the annual Grand Rapids Griffins Purple Community Game, which is coming up on Friday, March 13th at Van Andel Arena in downtown GR. It's a night dedicated to supporting research into diseases like cancer and Parkinson's at Van Andel Institute. The Griffins will be taking on the Milwaukee Admirals in special purple jerseys, and you'll have a chance to bid on a limited edition purple jersey of your own after the game. It's a night you won't want to miss. Learn more about the Grand Rapids Griffins Purple Community Game at vai.org/events and also at griffinshockey.com.
Freddie texted back, said he understands the 8 games in spring training, but he's referring to the trend that a lot of teams have, and that is signing young players to long-term deals. I understand that. That's fine. It's acceptable. I get it. I have to be careful. Of course, they did the same thing with Cole Keith, not to that extent, right? But they did something similar with Cole Keith. It depends on whether or not you feel like it's the guy. And, Atlanta really set that bar. They did with Austin Riley. They did it with Jurickson Profar. They did it with Ronald Acuna. Those were smart moves. But I think those guys had already established themselves, at least early on. It wasn't right out of spring training. It wasn't this early. But I understand where he's coming from. And speaking of Atlanta, did you see Jurickson Profar? He's suspended for the entire year because of PEDs. Okay. So that's the second time. Since March 31st, 2025, he's been suspended twice for PEDs. The other 1,500 players in Major League Baseball, or whatever it is, combined have been suspended twice. Get him out of the game. Okay? Enough. I get so sick and tired of it. It's amazing. Anyway, whatever. We were talking yesterday about David Montgomery, right? And by the way, to Freddie's point, Kevin McGonigal, 3 for 3 yesterday, a homer, 3 RBIs, 2 runs scored and a walk. So you're on base 4 times against DR. Okay, you're not playing Chattanooga against you're playing the Dominican Republic team that's playing in the World Baseball Classic and could be one of those teams that challenges for a quote unquote medal. I think the U.S. is the best team. We'll get into that maybe a little bit later on. Anyway, we were talking yesterday about David Montgomery and how Brad Holmes got in return, a 4th, a 7th, and Juice Scruggs. So it's good you got another nickname. I mean, you may not be able to use Sonics and Knuckles, but now you get a Juice. Hey, give me some juice. Great. You have to look to appreciate what Brad Holmes did with the trade. Now, I would remind you, this is not a thumbs up or thumbs down or even yet on Brad Holmes until he does what he's supposed to do with the 4th round pick. How Juice Scruggs plays, makes the team, competes for a guard spot. I don't know. That will help. 7th round picks. I mean, do you get the equivalent of a Dan Jackson that you got a year ago but got hurt? I don't know. The 4th round pick is big. Maybe you combine that 7th and move up to get a few other things. Just to put it in perspective, Tank Bigsby, when traded, got a 5th or a 6th in return. So that's a win for Brad Holmes. Brian Robinson got a 6th. That's a win for Brad Holmes. Jordan Mason, Khalil, Cam Akers, Joe Mixon, DeAndre Swift, all got better. The question now is, and we went over that yesterday, the question now is, how are you going to fix the guys up front? So there's been conflicting reports. One report, and it's a trusted source because it's Dave Burkett of the Free Press. There's nobody closer to the Lions than Dave Burkett. Tim Twentyman's pretty close, right? I think Justin Rogers is there on a regular basis, and he's really close. Those 3 guys are probably the most trusted voices when it comes to Lions reporting. And who am I missing? Anybody? Don't give me a columnist. I'm talking about somebody who's there on a regular basis. Okay, those guys. He got the sense, did Dave, according to a tweet yesterday, that he was talking with people at the Combine about the Lions' interest in signing some free agents. And many of those agents gave him the sense that Detroit was not going to be super aggressive. And yet you have some national reporters going out there and saying, I've got a sense that the Lions are going to be super aggressive after, and Tyler Linderbaum's name comes up. So that's where you and I are probably like, okay, what do we believe? We probably shade to what we want to believe. We want to believe the Lions are going to be aggressive, right? I saw somebody yesterday say Tate Ratledge is going to move from right guard to center, and the Lions will let people duke it out for guard starting spots. there's going to be a competition there. And I'm going to be totally honest with you. Miles Frazier as a guard entices me. I worry about the Tate Ratledge thing. Here's why. Bear with me. You got your right tackle. He's all set. He's all world. You got your left tackle for his 11th year. He's not playing all 17 games. The history would tell you that he's not because of the injuries, right? If he plays, he's going to start. That's what history tells you, but he's probably not going to make it through an entire season. And
if I said over under 11 games, 11 starts,
I'd go over.
What if it was 13? Because that's where my number would be, right around 13.
I think you're right about that. I was going to say 12 or 13. Yeah.
You allow him to miss
right
4, a quarter of the season.
Sure. Mm-hmm. Yep. And depending on who you have, I'd be okay with that.
And my point is, I guess you should plan for that. And I think that's what you're saying, too.
Yes, absolutely. 100%. Unless it's Giovanni Manu. Okay? Then,
not good.
Okay, take the keys and make sure I'm not near a cliff while I'm in the car. Okay? But if you move Tate Ratledge to center, where he's never played, and don't give me training camp crap, okay? Because if I'm going to sit there and say, pump the brakes on McGonigal, even though I love him, if I'm going to say pump the brakes there, I am not going all in on Tate Ratledge spending a couple of weeks at center in training camp. But you move that, so I don't want to say you weaken that position, but you haven't taken full advantage of that position. You don't have anybody who's got the experience at right guard, and left guard is still kind of a mystery. It's literally 3 positions. You're going to have to be convinced that the player is worthy of that spot. Is that fair? You're going to have to be convinced of it. You can think that they are, but you have to be convinced of it. You were convinced Christian Mahogany was good enough at left guard last year. He wasn't. Why not keep Ratledge at right guard? Miles Frazier will compete at left guard and sign a center. Who that is, go ahead. Go get Connor McGovern. I don't care. Do what you think is best, but get that veteran in the middle.
Tyler Linderbaum is what I saw, just as a rumor.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah, they believe the Lions could be a player.
He's also going to make more money than any center in the history of the sport. You're not doing that. I don't think you can. I don't think they can do that. I don't think they have the money to do that right now. They haven't restructured deals. We don't know what the salary cap's going to be either, but they haven't restructured any deals.
I don't even think they're cap compliant yet, are they? They still got to get.
Correct.
Yeah. I don't know what the number is, but I know they're not there.
But think about that. $20 million for Tyler Linderbaum, who's a good center. Don't get me wrong.
Very good.
But depending on what you want to pay attention to, Pro Football Focus, I know. Stop, cross, stay away.
Well, you got to pick something.
He's like ranked 4th, 5th in football. $20 million is a lot, man. It's a lot of money. So if you got a McGovern, if you got somebody other than that, other than Linderbaum, who's got some experience and has been a solid presence, okay, why not have – you drafted Miles Frazier for a reason. Suddenly you've got a relatively young left guard, and you've got a polished, what we would consider a little bit more of a polished right guard. Tate Ratledge, according to Pro Football Focus, again, his run blocking grade as a rookie ranked 9th among 71 offensive guards who logged at least 400 snaps. 9th out of 71 as a run blocker. I'm talking about here. Okay.
Yeah, you'll take that.
Absolutely.
Easily.
Learning curve and pass protection. His 87.4 Pro Football Focus pass blocking grade ranked 3rd among Power 5 guards. Not bad. Not bad at all. And his 87.1 mark ranked 4th among Power 5 guards. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't know what the hell Power 5 guards means.
Means something. Means something good.
It has to do with the number of snaps you take. That's what it is. I'm just kidding. But that's true. I mean, it depends on the number of snaps you've taken. We'll talk more Lions with John Macarone. He'll join us at 7:35 here on X's and Bros. We're brought to you this hour by our friends at Meijer.
Huge here for Josh Garvey and his team at Dorn Mayhew, West Michigan. Now, they continue to grow. They got their worldwide headquarters in Troy, Michigan, on the east side of the state. They are worldwide. They are the leaders when it comes to accounting, CPA, and business needs. Simple and easy. Just Google Dorn Mayhew. And also, Josh Garvey joins me every Tuesday as we talk hoops with former Michigan and Cleveland Cavaliers head coach John Beilein. Tuesdays, 5 p.m., Josh Garvey, Coach Beilein, and myself, we talk Michigan, Michigan State, and the Pistons. Talking hoops happens all the way through the NBA Finals. And could you imagine if the Pistons are in the NBA Finals? If you ever have a hoops question for us, you can drop it at Huge Show on Twitter, The Huge Show on Facebook, and Talking Hoops every Tuesday at 5 p.m., presented by one of the world's top accounting, CPA, and business firms, Dorn Mayhew.
Avelo Air knows how much you love the Tigers. They love them too. They want to help you get to spring training in Lakeland because it is an awesome time. They fly nonstop from Grand Rapids to Lakeland Thursdays and Sundays, and nonstop from Detroit to Lakeland Wednesdays and Saturdays. Everyday low fares and reliable service. You don't want to fly anywhere else. Book your trip to Lakeland on AveloAir.com and use the promo code HUGE for $20 off a round-trip base fare when you book by March 31st. Restrictions do apply.
Make sure you listen weekly to our Moving Ferris Forward interviews with Ferris President Bill Pink and other leaders who are moving Ferris forward. Find out more about Big Rapids and Ferris and what they have to offer at ferris.edu.
I have brought this up before. Welcome back, X's and Bros, Monday through Friday. We also welcome your thoughts in on the comment section on YouTube or on Facebook or on X. Let's see. Noah on first comments on YouTube. He says, "Can we talk about how many top disrespectful tents have been laying absolute eggs this week? What are your thoughts on Nebraska completely getting demolished by UCLA?" Boy, that's a good point. See, when we said this the other day, we said that Andy Katz, I think it was Andy Katz, not a huge fan, but he gives the entire 68 field, who the 1s, 2s, and 3s. Michigan State was a 3. Nebraska was a 3. I haven't bought into Nebraska fully as a 3. They got off to a great start. Give them a ton of credit. People are like, "Oh, they didn't play anybody." And then they shocked the hell out of Michigan. It's so hard in college basketball to be consistent. You can say what you want about MSU, but when you make the NCAA tournament 27 straight years, that's about as consistent as you can get.
I've never seen him miss it.
It is really, really hard to do. We take it for granted. It's the Red Wings going 25 years and making the playoffs. Shep, I'm tired of this. You are. Yeah, it's a one and done, but you got to get in the tournament to actually, that's why when people say it's linear, all this other stuff, but you got to get there first. Same people who said it's linear and you got to get there and anything can happen. Now they want to blow it all up again, right? But it's really hard. Staying consistent throughout an entire season. Nebraska's a good team. They're not a Big Ten championship team. They're not a national championship threat by any stretch. In fact, you could argue that there are 8 teams that you could see contending for a national title. And in case people were wondering, UCLA pounded Nebraska by 20 last night. It was out at Pauley Pavilion.
That was a great win for them as far as building their resume to make the tournament.
Yeah. Kansas goes into Arizona State, and it's an Arizona State team that's about 500, and they get throttled.
Bill Self got ejected.
Not a fan.
Me either.
Alabama 16 goes into Georgia and loses by 10. That catching kids was unbelievable. Clemson scared North Carolina on senior night. It's kind of the way it works. It's whether or not you want to believe a team truly is worthy of national championship consideration. The latest college basketball poll had Duke and Arizona and Michigan, UConn, Florida. Michigan State bumped up to 8. Nebraska's at 9. I think what you're looking at is you're going, oh my God, I can't believe they got upset by UCLA, who got trucked by Michigan and Michigan State. Don't discount the travel out west, the time change. It's not as bad for Nebraska as it is for Michigan and Michigan State. The sense of urgency, the fact that, UCLA is playing for a Final Four, and I mean, one of the Final Four teams.
First four, yeah, whatever they call it now.
First four, yeah. You shouldn't lose sight of that. I never thought Nebraska would be a challenge for the national championship. I'm not sure Iowa State is. I know that Arizona is, who, by the way, in case you're wondering about teams at the top and so on and so forth, remember, Arizona's a team that lost to Kansas, who just got beat by Arizona State, and lost to Texas Tech in back-to-back games. And now they've righted the ship. But I think they're a national championship contender. There's no doubt Michigan is. You may not like Dusty May. You may not like Michigan. But if you can't admit they're a national championship contender, you are high. They are. The only other team that might have better odds is Duke. And Duke has clinched the ACC. Michigan is the Big Ten champion. Arizona is the Pac-10 champion. Okay? Or Pac-10. Yeah. No, not Pac-10. What the hell are they?
What school? Sorry.
Arizona.
Big 12, right?
Big 12. Yeah. Arizona's the Big 12. Yeah. That's the Big 12. It used to be in the Pac-10. Anyway, I'm not sure about UConn. You love their history, recent history, especially with Danny Hurley. Florida's been unbelievable lately. Michigan State's played really well.
Florida might win the SEC outright and not get a 1 seed. Think about that. Because they lost to UConn, and that UConn loss is looking worse because UConn got throttled by Creighton. I listened to a whole bracketology breakdown yesterday. That was one thing they said to watch. They said the door's open for Florida to get a 1 seed.
It was a close game.
They could win the SEC and not get one, which is crazy considering the SEC is going to get the most bids.
Yeah, it was a close game. I think they lost by 4. Their losses are, you know me, I could talk about legitimate losses. They've got 6 of them. But they've lost to Arizona. That was the first game of the year. They've lost to Duke, and that was by 1, I might add. They lost to UConn. That was by 4. And then there's a few other ones that you're like, wow, how the hell did that happen? You know, whether it be Auburn or TCU, something like that. And Auburn at times has had a decent year, right? So whatever. Depends on when you get teams. I don't think there's that many. That's my point. I don't think there's that many national championship contenders. And I don't think that's unique to this year. Shep, what are your thoughts on Nebraska getting demolished by UCLA? Okay, we just talked about that. Also, they have Michigan State projected as a 2 seed. Thought they would be around a 4. Do you think a 2 seed is too high? Or what's the read there? I think Michigan State is a 3 seed. I didn't see them as a 4. Having them as a 2 is a little bit of a surprise for me. I think the ones I think Duke, Michigan, and Arizona are solidified as 1s.
No doubt.
Who's the other one? I don't know if it's UConn or Florida. It's going to be one or the other, unless they get lose their last 2 games and get knocked out in the first round of their conference tournament.
Yeah, here today I'd give it to Florida, but it's close.
I would say you would give it to Florida. Probably UConn.
UConn beat them head to head, so there's that.
But yeah, they're also 27-3. They've also got that aura behind them. I mean, that's just the way it's not bad to be a 2 seed. Your 2 seeds are probably Florida and Houston, perhaps Texas Tech. Michigan State might be a 2.
If Michigan State beats Michigan, they'll be a 2 for sure, I think. But they'd be the last 2, just like they were last year, if you remember.
Yeah, and that's okay. Who else would be? Maybe Illinois? Maybe.
Yeah, and then maybe Nebraska. It's hard to make those cases, though.
It's not. I don't think it's going to be Nebraska. I don't think it's going to be Nebraska. Nebraska will be a 3. They're not going to take Nebraska over Michigan State.
And I guess that's the point. Yeah.
Shep, do you think Michigan State should be a 2 seed? I feel like that's too high. No, I feel like the way they've played lately. Why would it be too high? Let me ask you that. At 24-5 on the year. Why would it be too high?
The only reason to be too high is if you have other teams that you think have stronger resumes. I know that sounds obvious, but that's the only reason. I mean, if it comes down to, like you said, Shep, if it's a coin flip between Michigan State and Program B, Michigan State's going to get a bump for the same reason you said UConn might get a bump to the 1 line.
Yeah, here are the 2 losses I think people look at with Michigan State when they look at their resume. The loss at Minnesota, even though it was close, shouldn't matter, was a terrible loss. And the blowout loss to Wisconsin. They got pummeled by the Badgers. Now, they haven't lost since, and they're going to beat Rutgers, okay? I have full confidence they'll beat Rutgers tomorrow. And then they got to go to Michigan, and that's going to be tough to do. It's going to be a really hard thing. I think they could, if they win, they're going to beat Rutgers. Let's say they lose to Michigan, win a couple of games in the Big Ten tournament. Yeah, I think they'll be a 2 seed. I think that's about right. It may not be as much about Michigan State. It may be as much about everybody else. And that's oftentimes how it works in the top 25 or in anything else. Shep, is there a convo on if Michigan loses 1 more, they'll drop out as a 1 seed? 4 1 seeds. Is that possible? I don't.
Michigan's a 1.
I don't think so. Michigan would have to lose their last 2 games and then probably the first game of the Big Ten tournament for them to get knocked out as a 1. I think people are convinced they are that good. I saw something the other day that they're underrated as a 1 seed, that they would be the number 1 overall seed, even though they lost to Duke. I would say Duke would be the 1 seed. Michigan would be the second number 1. That's my opinion. All right, when we come back, John Macarone. Thank you for that info, by the way. Thank you for the conversation. on YouTube. Follow us at XB Mornings. We're back with Football Talk and John Macarone of Detroit Podcast after this.
You've worked hard for decades saving in pre-tax retirement plans like 401ks and IRAs, saving on taxes now. But as your retirement now approaches, you're going to get taxed at rates you have no control over. Hi, I'm Mitch Lyons, founder of Mitch Lyons Wealth. Your 401k balance isn't worth what your statement says. You could lose thousands of dollars to taxes, and those distributions can impact other areas of your retirement like Social Security and Medicare. Could a Roth IRA conversion be of help to you? You've probably heard of Roth conversions, but it can be confusing. Should you convert all at once or over time? Where should you pay the taxes from? How do you know for sure? Get our free personalized Roth Blueprint analysis today to find out exactly what makes sense for you. Your Roth Blueprint could potentially increase your lifetime wealth by thousands of dollars. So get your free Roth Blueprint today. Text Blueprint to 844-867-8335. That's Blueprint to 844-867-8335. Or go to MitchLyonsWealth.com, your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement.
Coming up later today at 3 on The Huge Show on the Michigan Sports Network, I'll deliver huge opinions on everything you're talking about.
Avelo Air knows how much you love the Tigers. They love them too. They want to help you get to spring training in Lakeland because it is an awesome time. They fly nonstop from Grand Rapids to Lakeland Thursdays and Sundays, and nonstop from Detroit to Lakeland Wednesdays and Saturdays. Everyday low fares and reliable service. You don't want to fly anywhere else. Book your trip to Lakeland on AveloAir.com and use the promo code HUGE for $20 off a round-trip base fare when you book by March 31st. Restrictions do apply.
Free agency opens up pretty soon in the National Football League, and so I think a lot of Lions fans are super pumped for that. I know John Macarone is as well, and John is a guy who is greatly passionate about Lions football, about the NFL in general. You can follow him as part of the Detroit podcast, the founder of that. You can follow him on Twitter at Paco31179, and he joins us here on X's and Bros. John, always appreciate it. Good Wednesday morning to you. First, before we get into the free agency aspect, the David Montgomery trade to Houston for a 4th, a 7th, and an offensive lineman. Hello, Juice. What was your overall feeling on that haul from Brad Holmes? John, we got you? John, you there?
Yeah. Hello.
Hey,
yes.
John. Hey, John. Thanks for joining us. Hey, I don't know if you heard the question, but I'm just wondering what your thoughts were on, before we get into free agency, Juice Scruggs, 4th round, 7th rounder for David Montgomery in Houston the other day by Brad Holmes.
Yeah, absolutely. Detroit Lions on SI had reported that NFC execs prior to the combine had predicted that the Lions would shop David Montgomery. And this all started, Matt, and thanks again for having me. It started after the season when Brad Holmes discussed with reporters what happened this season. He kind of opened the door that the Lions could part ways with David Montgomery. And that's what sent a bunch of us reporters into investigative mode. And that's when I started questioning his future. Look, always remember, listeners, that players are always going to want to speak positively of the teams that they're on. They're getting paid handsomely. They never want to burn bridges with fans. Just look at what happened when Jeremy Fowler of ESPN reports that he has specifics on what the Lions are looking for. Where do you think he's getting some of that information from? From the combine, where I was at and reporting just as well. And then David Montgomery comes out and says on X, well, did you hear that from me? No. Reporters are getting a lot of information from a wide variety of sources. And I think the Detroit Lions did absolutely the right thing. Look, in the end, the Lions are an organization that are very player friendly. Their head coach is a former player. And so when David Montgomery realizes that Jahmyr Gibbs is the number one and he's never going to see more than 6-7 targets a game, he went to the team and indicated, look, I might want a better opportunity for a chance to play. And so the Detroit Lions did absolutely right. They got something for a 29-year-old running back. So I'm absolutely all for the trade.
Yeah, I am too. I think he averaged about 9 carries a game if you carry it out a year ago. And I understand why he wanted to go, and there's no problem with that. And I agree with the Lions that, look, they sent him to a place he wanted to go, and they got a fair return in response from Houston, a very good return. But as far as players and reporting where guys are getting things, here's where some fans get a little confused. It's, well, the Lions are not going to be very active in free agency. And then there's national members in the media saying they are going to be active in free agency for a guy like Tyler Linderbaum, who's going to command roughly $20 million or more. And I think that would be way too much for that position. Where are they going to be when it comes to free agency? When it opens up, how aggressive do you think Brad Holmes and the Lions will be?
Yeah, no, it's very fair. And I just think that the specifics of the reporting have been laid out there. Agents speak to reporters all the time. It's a wonderful scene down in Indy. I highly recommend anybody in the NFL to go down there. You can sit down, have a couple adult beverages, and see how the NFL world starts to gather information. And I can be fairly honest. I saw that same reporter kind of in the same spots I was in. So it was really interesting to realize what agents talk about. And this all makes sense. Listen, some agents spoke with the Lions. And what do you think, Matt, the agents spoke with the Lions about? Their clients and getting some dollars out of the Lions. And I ran into Drew Rosenhaus and shared a laugh because I asked him point blank to represent me. And I think he shared one of the biggest laughs possible. But that's here nor there. Look, clearly, the Lions, in common sense wise, they're not flush with salary cap cash. Currently, they're about negative $3 million in the hole. But most of us expect that Jared Goff will restructure his contract, which will give the team about an additional $30 to $40 million in space. But the problem is there is one young, speedy running back that's going to soak up a bunch of money, and that's going to be Jahmyr Gibbs. And I just think that when you look at having to extend Gibbs, Campbell, maybe Branch and Laporta, there's only so many dollars that you're going to have. So I would be shocked if the Lions are in on Linderbaum, the Max Crosbys of the world, the high-priced talent out there. But I do expect that, common sense would indicate you're not going to go into this year with a young, inexperienced center. That would be a situation in which you tried and struck out, because free agency is a time where agents are looking for the most dollars, and it's before the draft. But some spots, like the safety spot, the running back spot, and defensive line, I think a lot of teams may look to the draft for those positions. But for the Detroit Lions, I expect them to make signings, but I think in the more mid-range, the Cade Mays type, in the neighborhood of like $7 to $10 million a season.
He'll
for a
command more
veteran
than
center.
that. Cade Mays.
Yeah, he might. He might.
Yeah,
and
it'll
so
be
that's
12.
where they may look. They may look to Arizona if Froholt gets cut. So you're looking at costs in the neighborhood of mid-range. I would expect 1 to 2 key signings, because that's where the Lions have filled holes, maybe more draft trades. But at the same token, I would be surprised if you see a similar type deal like you saw last year, where a player like DJ Reed makes $16 million a year. I think they're going to be more economical. I think when the Lions view aggressive, they just look at it from the sheer number standpoint, not in terms of how much they're paying. They're trying to be very economical with the salary cap right now.
Yeah, John, it's a good point. A lot of people feel like there could be a shift from Tate Ratledge to right guard to center. My hope is that doesn't necessarily take place. What are you hearing about that, and how realistic is it, do you think? And if so, then what do they do about the guard spot?
Yeah, no, listen, and here's how I can share with you how the NFL works. I believe that Tate Ratledge is a real option if the Lions strike out in free agency. You got to remember that the Lions are not the only NFL team seeking a center. I guess I heard last night when I was recording the Lone Wolves podcast that Dalman from the Bears all of a sudden abruptly retires. Half the league is looking for a talented center. That's the sheer importance of that position. So if the Lions do strike out, because look, let's just look at it I always look at football from a common sense perspective, and the Lions have a clear need at center, and you have a $50 million quarterback. So plan A is to go out and seek a negotiation with a free agent. If that doesn't work out, because it tends to be a bidding war, then the Lions will go to Tate Ratledge. That was the plan, obviously, when they knew about Frank Ragnow. Now, they tried. The issue is, and where your concern lies and my concern lies, is they tried him at center in training camp, and then it lasted all of about 3 practices, because I'm out there reporting, oh, my goodness, the interior is killing the Lions' offensive line. We reported, guys, last year in training camp that the Lions' offensive line was struggling against the defense. So I do think that he ends up being a guard. But if he's a center, you still have the new addition Scruggs, you have Miles Frazier, and you have others potentially that you may draft that will compete. And so in that same report, it said that if Tate Ratledge is the center, then it's open season on a competition at guard.
Okay, so here's the big problem I think a lot of people have with it, and I have with it, and I'm well aware of how the NFL works. And I'm not saying free agency solves everything, but this team's identity for 2-3 straight years was its offensive line. Last year, the administration failed that team by putting that offensive line together. Flat out failed, okay? You're going to try and convince people that Juice Scruggs, Miles Frazier, and Tate Ratledge in the interior part of that offensive line might be the answer, as well as an aging left tackle at Taylor Decker. Guys don't come in from the college game and immediately start at center, unless you're Zach Frazier, with Pittsburgh Steelers out of West Virginia. Fantastic player. It doesn't happen very often, all right? And last time I checked, there's no Mike Webster coming out in this draft. So that would be borderline irresponsible. That would be doing the same thing they did last year and trying to convince people that they now have learned from their mistakes. And they wouldn't if that were the case. There's got to be a different plan, don't you think?
Absolutely. No, I think plan A is to go out and get a free agent center. I do believe that you're in a situation in which you have a new offensive coordinator. This is a rebound year. It's very key. And I know they don't talk about windows, but you're right square in an opportunity this year with a 4th place schedule. you realize that your division is continuously getting better, and you recognize that it's very key. And that center position is absolutely what derailed the Lions last year. Listen, Graham Glasgow, give him credit, but yeah, he didn't have his best year in 2025. That's plan A. But remember, it's going to cost. That free agent center is going to cost because there are going to be a handful of teams that are going to be in on each and every center. So I do think plan A is a free agent center. And I hope that there's one that falls in line with the Lions, maybe has a tie to Drew Petzing, and you hope that it can be affordable. If you get that, that works, and then you can have a starting offensive line of Taylor Decker. Christian Mahogany, they're still very high on a free agent center. I do think Tate Ratledge's best spot is right guard and Penei Sewell. So while it may look dire, if they can land that free agent center, things will pick right back up, and you can have one of the highest scoring offenses in the league.
John Macaron, the founder of Detroit Podcast, joining us here on X's and Bros. Do you think Penei Sewell eventually moves to left tackle?
Absolutely. That's plan A in my book. And I tried to ask at the end of the season, he said, and I asked Penei Sewell, have you had talks yet with the Lions? And he gave the standard answer of I'll play anywhere. But yeah, if you're investing and look, a restructure of Jared Goff means that he's going to be with the team through probably the 2028 season and maybe beyond. You want to protect that investment. And I do think that the plan across the league is that many people believe that Penei Sewell is going to be the left tackle. I think that when you have a premier player and somebody that has played the position, I do think the transition would be smooth, and I think it would make much more sense for everybody involved, especially when you have an investment like Jared Goff, to make sure that somebody is there that's ready, that would probably do the job at a very all-pro level and would protect Jared Goff. It's an important position. Are you going to give that spot to a rookie? No. I think that's where potentially the draft this year will give the Lions an opportunity maybe to draft one, maybe two linemen that will have a chance to develop. But absolutely, I think plan A should be for Penei Sewell to be the left tackle. He's just too good, and he can do so many different things, and protecting the blind side of Jared Goff is of utmost importance for this organization.
Yeah. So when you say, draft some guys who, you think you can groom a little bit, my hope is that this team is able to get players early that will be plug and play players. I think you have to. I think first, second, and third round players need to be starters outside of maybe a quarterback. With that said, and I'm not a big believer in drafting for need. I think it gets you in deep trouble when you're any team in any sport. You draft best player available, and that's been Brad Holmes's, method of operandi from the very get-go. But list their needs in order for me. What do you think they need most in the draft?
Yeah, no doubt. In terms of what we saw, I think many people paid attention to the offensive linemen. Many people paid attention to the defensive line and defensive ends. I think for the Detroit Lions, a need that could be filled in the draft or free agency is at safety because of the situation, the unknown about Kirby Joseph and Brian Branch. So I would go offensive line, I would go defensive line, and then at safety. And then you're going to fill, I think, for sure, a need at running back in this draft. I think that there's a handful of players that the Lions could be interested in. So there's great
later in the draft. You're thinking though later, right? You're not talking about they don't have a third round pick, but you're not talking about first, second. You're talking maybe one of their fifths.
Round.
Yeah. Right.
Exactly. Yes. Running back. I do think that you wouldn't trade David Montgomery if you didn't feel like there was a cluster of running backs that you could potentially add that are affordable.
That said, what about free agency at the running back spot? James Conner is going to be available. Okay. Brian Robinson is available. You've got some options for guys who would have to accept getting 8 to 9 carries a game. You also have Sione Vaki. I don't know what you think about him, but I actually like him. I don't know how good he would be he's not a featured back. He's more of a special teams guy, but he could work his way into a backup role. What are your thoughts on the position in general and how you fill that void from David Montgomery? How would you go about it?
Yeah, no doubt. And I just think that dollar should be allocated a little bit more to the defense. Everybody saw the last 2 years what the Seahawks and the Eagles were able to accomplish with a stout defense. Listen, running backs, I think that in terms of a RB2, you just see what you can just explore what the Bears did last year. They were able to get value out of a 7th rounder. So I think the Detroit Lions look squarely in the draft. And I think you go younger. You want a power back. You want somebody that is able to spell Jahmyr Gibbs, because he's going to get roughly 15 to 18 touches a game. And you want somebody that can get those tough yards. And I agree. I think Sione Vaki was a draft pick. He's been mostly a special teamer and dealing with injuries, but I think he'll have an opportunity. And also, don't forget, on the roster currently is a back that if you strike out in free agency and it doesn't work out in the draft, you have Jacob Sailors, who I think is a story that people should pay attention to, a guy that worked his way into the league and has now maintained a position with the Detroit Lions. He may also get another opportunity to showcase what he's about. But I do think that there's running backs in the draft that the Detroit Lions would covet and want to bring here.
Yeah, Nicholas Singleton comes to mind for me.
Absolutely.
He's a kid out of Penn State, 6 feet, 2 1/4, 13 touchdowns a year ago. He's a guy I've kind of targeted a little bit later in the draft. Last thing, what are they going to get for David Montgomery, or what are they going to get in general? The Lions will have some compensatory pick. Will they not have? Will they not have an opportunity? Yeah.
Absolutely. We're going to find out at any moment what round it's in. There was a report yesterday that maybe it could be even elevated to as high as a third. But right now, most people are expecting it to be a 5th round compensatory pick. And if you know Brad Holmes, and this is what I got to get ready for now. Now I'm in my training camp where I'm getting ready for Brad Holmes in the draft and free agency, because stay tuned next week. It's going to be starting on the 9th, a wild ride with who signs, who stays, who goes, and all the rumors. So make sure you stay with Detroit Lions on SI. But in the draft, that's where Brad Holmes really, the proverbial, that's where he cooks. I expect him to maneuver all over this draft. And to me, I think he will be aggressive. I think you package a 5th and a 4th and try to get back into the 3rd, or maybe get a couple picks in the 2nd round. I think he's going to be willing to maneuver in spots where if they find a lineman or they find a player that they love, that they feel like they can plug and play, he'll move around. So I'm getting ready for all the draft trades that he's going to make. I think they have 8-9 picks right now. And I do think that the name of the game is, and I hope that when he talked about evolving, that the players selected will have more of an instant impact. No project.
Amen to that.
Dan Campbell said it. Competition's key. These guys got to come in and push these starters, because it is tough to make this team, but there are clear spots in terms of guards.
Yeah, it's opening up now.
There are spots open.
Yep, for sure. 20 free agents. I think they got 10 picks. They've got some rosters to fill for sure. John, keep up the great work. We always appreciate it, man. Love the enthusiasm, love the passion, love the knowledge. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon, okay?
I look forward to it, and let's see. Make sure it's going to be a wild week next week. Free agency starts Monday, the 9th.
Yep, looking forward to it. Thanks. John Macarone joining us from the Detroit podcast. He's the founder there, Detroit SI, joining us here on X's and Bros on a Wednesday morning, brought to you by Meyer.
In the Den with Dan Dickerson.
Lake Michigan Credit Union is proud to be the presenting sponsor of your Detroit Tigers 2026 spring training. Get out to the ballpark this year and enjoy some family-friendly fun. LMCU. You'll love banking there. Max Clark is an extremely talented player. He likes to wear jewelry and a lot of eye black, and he has a huge following on social media. Max Clark is not an influencer. He's building a profitable business, he says, for later in life. Social media, we all know, can be toxic. Clark has learned to follow his dad's advice. You can't make everybody happy, so just do what makes you happy. The Tigers have made it clear they just want him to be his authentic self every day. Clark has been a great teammate through the minors. He's fitted right into the Major League clubhouse this spring. He's a very personable and likable young man. It's so easy to judge and to mock and draw conclusions from someone's appearance. But when you do that, as many did the other day when Clark made a couple of mistakes in the field, you always miss out on an opportunity to get to know someone a little better.
Huge here for the Michigan High School Athletic Association. You can stay up to date on the latest from Lansing 24/7 at MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. The latest news, press releases, and stories connected to every high school in the state of Michigan, available for you 24/7 from the Michigan High School Athletic Association. Log on to MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. And if you're looking for archive boys and girls high school sports, MHSAA.TV. That's MHSAA.TV. TV. 24/7, everything you need to know about high school sports in Michigan. Log on to MHSAA.com.
Farrah's Coffee has been family owned and operated for over 100 years. Its popular Den Blend and Dark Roast is more than coffee and more than the official coffee of the Detroit Lions. It's a call to rise. Farrah's Coffee and the Lions are the perfect match. They embrace those who show up early, cheer loud, and never back down. Den Blend is perfectly roasted in Grand Rapids and provides the ultimate fuel for fans who wake up and roar. Whether you're tailgating at the game or cheering from your couch, Den Blend is your go-to coffee for your game day ritual.
The Freddie the Pizza Man Foundation is dedicated to providing support to families and Michigan schools touched by autism. We invite you to join us in supporting these families and schools by making a donation at freddythepizzaman.com. With your donation, you can help provide essential resources that can make a real impact. Visit freddythepizzaman.com to make a donation and to learn more about the foundation's mission. That's FREDI thepizzaman.com. Together, we can make a difference.
Avello Airlines knows you love the Tigers because they love them too. It's why they have direct flights to Lakeland, Florida out of both Grand Rapids and Detroit. Thursdays and Sundays are nonstop out of GR, and Wednesdays and Saturdays are nonstop out of Detroit. So wherever you are in Michigan, you can get down to spring training to watch your Tigers. With everyday low fares, reliable service, you do not want to fly any other way. Head to AveloAir.com to book your trip now. That's AVELO air.com and use code HUGE for $20 off a round trip base fare if you book before March 31st. Restrictions do apply.
third and final hour of X's and Bros, Monday through Friday, 6 until 9. Thanks a lot for being with us. Appreciate it as always. Meyer Hotline, 866-838-4843. Our text line is Sports Radio 21,000. We always appreciate the feedback when we stream live on X, on Facebook, and on YouTube, all right, at XB Mornings. We're brought to you this hour by Avello Airlines, AvelloAir.com. In case you missed it last night, the Pistons lose in Cleveland. Oh, no, 113-109. Folks, they'd won 10 of the last 11 road games. I suppose it's a little different when you don't have Donovan Mitchell and when you lose Jared Allen during the game and you hold, air quotes, James Harden to 18. Turnovers hurt you 13. And as I've said time and time again, some people strongly disagree with me. I'm going to stick to it. I'm going to die on this hill. If the Pistons are going to win this year, Cade Cunningham has to score. I don't care what he shoots. He's going to score. He had 10 points last night. Sure. The positive side of things is that he had 14 assists. The negative side is that he went 4 for 16 and had 5 turnovers. And some people say that's unfair. You have too high of a bar for Cade Cunningham. No, I don't. I think he's the best. I think he's the most important player in the NBA this year for his team. I think he's the MVP. That's the ultimate compliment. It's not a knock when you bring up some of the things that he didn't do well in a loss. All right? Jalen Duren, in the meantime, who was, by the way, the Eastern Conference Player of the Week. Cunningham, the Eastern Conference Player of the Month. Jalen Duren, 24 points, 13 rebounds. Red Wings tonight hosting Vegas. And the Tigers lose to the Dominican Republic, but Kevin McGonigal went 3 for 3 and was on base 4 times. Here's the Mitch Lyons Wealth poll question of the day. We have one for you every single day. And today we asked, which center should the Red Wings trade for? Robert Thomas, Elias Pettersson, Vincent Trocheck, or other? Thomas was supposedly going to Buffalo, but then word is that the Sabres couldn't meet what the Blues wanted. Thomas is 26 years old. He's a good player, man. You'd have to give up quite a bit to get him. Be a little much for me from what they're asking. But he's 26 years old under contract. I mean, you're getting a really good player, but you'd have to give up quite a few players too. I'm not one of those guys who I've got to hold on to all these prospects. Oh, my God, don't let them go, right? It's an REO Speedwagon song, for crying out loud. Don't let them go. But the problem is that one guy who would be your second line center going to make that big of a difference if somebody like a St. Louis wanted one of your premier defensemen. I wouldn't be surprised if they said, we want Simon Edvinsson. I'm not giving up Simon Edvinsson. Not for Robert Thomas. For somebody else, maybe. Not that he would ever be available. Macklin Celebrini? You're damn right I would. He's got more points in his rookie year than Sidney Crosby did in his. It's incredible. Anyway, you can vote as often as you want at XB Mornings, and I've retweeted it as well. By the way, I mean, we're talking about the Pistons lost to Cleveland. The Lakers, unfortunately, beat the Pelicans last night. I don't want to use this whole time to be a bitch fest, so I apologize up front, but I cannot stand watching the Lakers. A team that I used to actually love to watch. I loved watching Magic Johnson and Byron Scott and Michael Cooper off the bench, James Worthy, AC Green, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Jim Chones at one point. Okay, I know. You're like, who the hell is Jim Chones? You mean Jones? No, Jim Chones, Chones. They were incredibly fun to watch, whether it was Paul Westphal or Pat Riley. I loved watching them play. Loved them when watching them play with Kobe Bryant. Okay. I cannot stomach watching the Los Angeles Lakers. It is the biggest wine fest I have ever seen.
I think the brand has really fallen from grace, to put it lightly.
And it's two players who've done it. It's LeBron James and Luka Doncic. I cannot stand watching Luka Doncic. Last night, he's at the foul line. I'm not exaggerating here. Go ahead and watch it. I was watching highlights. He's at the foul line. He misses does anybody go to the free throw line more than Luka Doncic? Be honest. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Maybe Jalen Brunson. That's it. Just off the top of my head. I don't know.
Yeah.
He goes a lot. That's the point.
He goes a lot. I was going to say maybe Shea Gilgeous-Alexander.
Good one. Yeah.
Okay. But Luka Doncic, and he's a phenomenal scorer. We'll talk with Tim Hardaway Sr. about this. 10.5 times per game. Luka Doncic goes to the free throw line 10.5 times per game. Put it in perspective. Cade Cunningham, he goes to the free throw line 6.5 times a game. Okay? Luka Doncic leads the league in free throw attempts per contest at 10.5. So he's constantly going there. And an unbelievable offensive player. Sucks defensively. Misses the first free throw, and the arms go wide. You know, like he's at a McDonald's and everybody else has got to be measured against his wingspan. That's what it is.
I didn't see this. What was he complaining about?
Who knows? Because he thought Zion
Lane
Williamson,
violation or something?
Yeah.
I mean, what else can you complain about?
Was saying something during the free throw. Okay. So he misses the first, makes the second, then has words for Williamson afterwards, and then gets a technical foul, which I was giggling at. But anyway, he's complaining about somebody saying something or moving or whatever it was along the right side of the lane. Yet people have on the road, you know, those thunder sticks. People are screaming. The music in the NBA. You're watching the Pistons and Cavs, you can't even hear the broadcast because it's it sounds like the beginning of a concert. AC/DC, the lights are out, and all of a sudden you hear kung, kung, kung. And then it's like everybody knows, here goes the curtain. Now you know that the concert's about to begin. That's what it sounds like in an NBA game. But he's complaining because somebody said something or twitched along the right side. When did it become golf or tennis? Are we at the All England Club for Luka Doncic at the free throw line? He is the biggest baby in the NBA.
You wanted to say a different word.
Well, you're damn right I did. He just took the baton from LeBron James and said, "I'll keep running it through the finish line to be the biggest baby in the league." Because every time LeBron gets touched, he looks like he got shot. Oh my God. Luka Doncic, same thing. Somebody bumps him. Oh my gosh, you're throwing me aside. It's incredible. And people love that stuff. That dude is 6'8", 230 pounds. Trent, do you know how hard it is to push around a 6'8", 230-pound man?
I don't know if I've ever met one, to be honest.
Well, in fairness, maybe you don't have to have too much effort because when you lean into Luka Doncic,
they're going to sell it.
You lean into a pillow. Okay? Super soft. Oh, it's the thing about it is people who cover the league love this guy. I mean, they just, he is the cat's meow. I was going to say something else.
Right? I think it's dropped off a little bit though over the last year. Not much.
Not enough.
I think when he went to the finals with Dallas and ever since then, people have loved him. And this year, Shep, I think a lot of people are taking your stance on it. A lot more than you think.
And
because they're sick of it too.
Yeah. Well, it's part of the reason that a year ago I wasn't totally blown away by the trade. I was blown away that he was traded for what he was traded for, but I wasn't blown away that Dallas wanted to part ways with him.
You weren't surprised that they had maybe, had enough of Luka Doncic.
Who wants that? Seriously, who wants an overweight, not engaged defensive, one-way type of player who whines constantly?
Bad attitude every day at work, sucks the energy out of the room, off the court. Yeah, not me. That would suck.
Picture Step Brothers. They're sitting in the office. Seth Rogen is sitting there interviewing him. Well, what do you want to do? Nothing. Right? That's what Luka Doncic is in the interview. Do you want to play defense? No.
No, I want to dribble and shoot.
Do you want to stay in shape? No. Are you a team player? I whine a lot. Oh, great. Welcome aboard. Who wants that? Not me. But people love it because he averages 30 points a game. And then those are the same people who will look you in the eye and say, defense wins, Shep. Not with that guy. We're back after this, brought to you by Avello Airlines.
Mitch Lyons here, founder of Mitch Lyons Wealth, where we create your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement. I'm here with Tiger legend Kirk Gibson, who we are proud to support and partner with on the newly opened Kirk Gibson Center for Parkinson's Wellness.
Thanks, Mitch. We appreciate your support, and we are excited to have recently opened the center in Farmington Hills. It provides exercise therapy and educational programs that are helping the Parkinson's community. Just like Mitch Lyons Wealth helps improve the quality for their clients' retirements, this center helps improve the quality of life for people with Parkinson's.
And Gibby, the best part of all is that access to the center is available to the Parkinson's community free of charge, right?
That's right, absolutely free of charge for people with Parkinson's and their care partners.
You hit a couple of the most famous home runs in Major League history, Gibby, but I feel that your greatest hit will be the positive impact the Kirk Gibson Center is making in the fight against Parkinson's.
Mitch, since my diagnosis, I get up every day and focus on winning that day. This center encourages others to do the same.
Awesome, Gibby. To learn more, go to kirkgibsoncenter.org.
Avelo Air knows how much you love the Tigers. They love them too. They want to help you get to spring training in Lakeland because it is an awesome time. They fly nonstop from Grand Rapids to Lakeland Thursdays and Sundays, and nonstop from Detroit to Lakeland Wednesdays and Saturdays. Everyday low fares and reliable service. You don't want to fly anywhere else. Book your trip to Lakeland on AveloAir.com and use the promo code HUGE for $20 off a round-trip base fare when you book by March 31st. Restrictions do apply.
Hear that? That's the sound of saving a good deal more when you shop with M-Perks at Meijer. Some delicious Cosmic Crisp apples, money saved. Meijer Essential Paper Towels, that's money saved. Savings, savings, savings. Because every dollar spent is also points earned in M-Perks, which you can use to save on your next grocery trip or up to $1 off per gallon on your next tank of gas. At Meijer, we work hard to help you save a good deal more for a whole lot less. That's bringing more good to life. Exclusions apply. See mperks.com for details.
18 after the hour. Welcome back. X's and Bros Monday through Friday. Yesterday, we talked a little bit about the crossover podcast with Tim Hardaway, the Hall of Famer, and two-time world champion Lindsey Hunter. They made some waves, no doubt, but it's worth discussing again with a man who made some of those statements, Tim Hardaway Sr., and he joins us here on X's and Bros. Check out the crossover podcast on YouTube. It's fantastic. It really was. It's a lot of fun discussions. Before we dive into that, I just had a little bit of a rant, so bear with me, a little bit of a rant regarding the Lakers. I used to enjoy watching them play. I really did. I can't stomach watching them play any longer. I cannot handle the whining of Luka Doncic and LeBron James. When LeBron James says, it's harder now back than it was back in the day when you played, I find it laughable when I see him and Luka Doncic constantly complaining to referees, and Doncic at the free throw line was complaining about Zion Williamson doing something when there's thunder sticks and all kinds of music playing. What is it about Luka Doncic specifically that you think endears him to so many people? When he doesn't play defense, he's out of shape and all he does is whine?
Well, I tell you this, I appreciate you having me on all the time and every week and, going through the insights of the NBA and talking about what's going on in the NBA and all that. I definitely appreciate that. And you people, please tune in to Crossover Podcast. We're on YouTube and we're making great traction. And you know what? Everybody is starting to say this about the Lakers, man. It's hard to watch them. It's hard to, follow them. It's a drama every day. It's something about them every day. They like the Dallas Cowboys, of football. Every time that something goes wrong, or even if they do good, you talk about it. And it's just tough to watch them play. I think we all getting tired of Luka, and we keep saying the same thing. Luka, stop crying. Stop crying to the refs. You're not going to get a call. Get back on defense. You're hurting your teammates. And he consistently does it. He don't care. It's all about Luka Doncic. And he's not going to deviate from it. He's not going to do better from it. He's just going. That's Luka Doncic. He can't get out of his own way. He's not going to do better, and it's all about him. LeBron James is LeBron James. He gonna do what he does. I love him. I love them. They top tier players. They Hall of Fame players. You want to go see them. You want to pay to go see them because they're going to put on a show each and every night. But you get tired of the whining. You get tired of the constant whining. Like they don't foul. They always think they get fouled. They always complain to the refs, and it's constantly. And they got to stop that because they really, you got to look at the young kids that's watching. They're watching you do that. And then guess what they're going to do? They're going to do the same thing in their high school games, AAU games. Just saying that they got fouled and don't want to get back on defense. And you're setting bad examples for the youth. And, they always talking about, we want to set good examples. Well, you're not setting no good examples for the youth by complaining all the time about fouls and complaining about you getting fouled or I didn't foul them. So, yeah, it's a drama each and every night. And I think I'm tired of it. I'm tired of talking about it, but that's what everybody wants to hear about. But I'm tired of talking about it, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I get tired of the who's the greatest all time debate too, because eras are different.
Right.
Even at age 38, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was still scoring a ton of points. So I get we focus on just a couple of players, and I think it's self-promoted more than anything else. But with that said, you and Lindsey on Crossover Podcast the other day mentioned that Grant Hill and Penny Hardaway, you would rather have them or would take them in their prime over a guy like LeBron James in his prime. Explain, please.
Well, you know why? Because both of them went to college. Both of them had a sense of what I want to say, understanding of how to play this game coming out of college. They had tutelage. They had college experience. They had experience in playing in big games. They had, they understood, older guys talking to them and somebody like Grant Hill had a great coach in Coach K, and he had a great players in Bobby Hurley, and all the rest of those other guys that was on his team. Penny Hardaway took his team, far in the NCAA playoffs. and he knew how to prepare for big games and all that. So in their prime, if they didn't get hurt, I tell you this, man, and I always say this, it'd be Penny Hardaway, Grant Hill, Michael Jordan back in the day, and whoever going out for the MVP each and every year. Because that's how good those guys were. And they had, I'm not saying that they didn't have the LeBron didn't have a basketball IQ. Then he had a great basketball IQ, but he was still learning the game. He was still learning how to play the game. He was still learning how to, orchestrate a team, be a teammate, and really know how to play NBA basketball. They came in understanding how to play NBA basketball right then and there, and they was ready. And that's the difference between those guys and LeBron James and Luka Doncic. But I tell you this, man, you can't go wrong with him because LeBron James had a great career. Those guys, I think if they didn't get hurt, they would have had a fabulous career. Yeah. And but yeah, when they were talking about Chris Paul and Penny Hardaway, a lot, and plus a lot of this stuff is social media. A lot of people didn't get to see Penny Hardaway or Grant Hill when they played, but they get to see these guys play all the time, all across the world, and all over the YouTube and everything. You really didn't get to see Penny Hardaway and see what he did and what he brought to the table, or Grant Hill.
Where am I wrong here? I think in order for the Pistons to go deep, Cade Cunningham has to score. I'm not saying he has to shoot really high from a percentage, but he has to put up points. He had 4 for 16 last night with only 10 points, and people will look at the assists. But I look at the shooting percentage. But the fact is, he only got to the line twice, and he only scored 10 points. I think in order for this team to go deep, he's going to have to score and score regularly. Do you think I'm wrong there? And if so, why?
No, I think you're right. It's just like other big name players. You're looking at Jalen Brunson. He has to score. If he doesn't score, they don't win. If Donovan Mitchell or James Harden don't score, they don't win. If Cade Cunningham don't get his average, they not gonna win, or they not gonna be in a position to win. So yeah, you're absolutely right. He has to be consistent. He has, especially in the playoffs. He has. I mean, I'm gonna tell you this: you're not gonna score the way people want you to score for 82 games. Okay, yeah. He had a bad shooting game last night. Okay, that's where everybody else got to step up. And that's where you gotta trust your other teammates. And Hollins, you gotta step up. You gotta make shots. Okay. That's when you go to Tobias Harris. Okay. That's what he did though. Durham.
Tobias Harris did. Duran did. They both stepped up.
Yeah. So other teammates gotta step up too. They gotta make shots. You can't go 4 for 30 something and still win a game. That against Orlando. You against a really good team like Cleveland Cavaliers, you got to make some big shots and your rest of your teammates, and and that's what happened. But yeah, he has to. In the playoffs, don't worry about now. It's his MVP to lose. Right now, it's Cade Cunningham's MVP to lose, and just one game doesn't deviate from him not getting the MVP. That's all I can say.
Yeah. It's well said. Good stuff, Tim, as always. We appreciate the Hall of Famer. We appreciate Crossover Podcast because we learn a lot. When's the next episode drop? Any idea?
It's dropping today. We just did one yesterday. It's going to drop today. You need to hear it. We got some good stuff going on about when is Stu coming back? Stu coming back next game, right?
Stu came back last night, played 20 minutes, had 4 points, 2 boards. That's it.
Yeah, rusty. After 2-3 weeks off, right? Sure. That's all. So, but big game in San Antonio next, so he better be ready. They better be ready.
Amen to that.
Yeah, and I think Cade Cunningham gonna have a better game than he did the first one against San Antonio here in Detroit. So be watching out for that. That's gonna be a really good game. And that's tomorrow, right? Yeah, that's tomorrow. Tomorrow night. Yeah, tomorrow night. Yeah.
So good stuff. All right, Tim. Thanks as always, man. Have a great week. Talk to you soon. Tim Hardaway Sr., the Hall of Famer, joining us, part of the Crossover Podcast with Lindsey Hunter. Find it where you find all your podcasts and watch it on YouTube. It's a really good informational watch.
Grocery shopping is a good deal better at Meijer with low prices on fresh favorites like select bulk apples, just $1.29 a pound. Certified Angus beef chuck roast and fresh from Meijer whole chickens are buy one, get one 50% off. Plus, earn a $10 coupon when you spend $100 or more in-store March 4th through the 10th. Coupon printed at checkout. Then redeem your $10 coupon March 11th through the 17th. Bringing home more of what you love for less. That's the good life at Meijer. Exclusions apply. See all deals in the Meijer app.
Farrah's Coffee has been family owned and operated for over 100 years. Its popular Den Blend and Dark Roast is more than coffee and more than the official coffee of the Detroit Lions. It's a call to rise. Farrah's Coffee and the Lions are the perfect match. They embrace those who show up early, cheer loud, and never back down. Den Blend is perfectly roasted in Grand Rapids and provides the ultimate fuel for fans who wake up and roar. Whether you're tailgating at the game or cheering from your couch, Den Blend is your go-to coffee for your game day ritual.
From Grand Rapids, Kalamazoo, Muskegon, Petoskey, Charlevoix, Traverse City, Cadillac, Lansing, and beyond, you are listening to X's and Bros with Matt Shepard only on the Michigan Sports Network.
Coming up later today at 3 on the Huge Show on the Michigan Sports Network, I'll deliver huge opinions on everything you're talking about.
The Freddie the Pizza Man Foundation is dedicated to providing support to families and Michigan schools touched by autism. We invite you to join us in supporting these families and schools by making a donation at freddythepizzaman.com. With your donation, you can help provide essential resources that can make a real impact. Visit freddythepizzaman.com to make a donation and to learn more about the foundation's mission. That's FREDI, thepizzaman.com. Together, we can make a difference.
This week is senior week in college basketball, by the way. Saw North Carolina celebrated the other night. Michigan State will celebrate it against Rutgers tomorrow, right? Tomorrow night, yeah.
Yep.
And you'll only have, it's not very often, seniors who stay 4 or 5 years, you know. I think there's 10 in the Big Ten that have done that. 22 high major scholarship players who are celebrating this week, who have actually stayed that long. 2 at MSU, Jackson Kohler, Carson Cooper. 1 at Michigan, Will Cheddar. 3 at Purdue. It's not many. 1 at Nebraska, 1 at Northwestern, 1 at Ohio State, 1 at Oregon. Joe Jackson college basketball put that out there. It's kind of a sad state if you think about it. If that's the way how you look at it. If you think it's really important that a player stay and kind of develop. And I think some people still do. I don't know how many. I think as things progress, we probably become less and less numb to it. Unless you're an old
it's
guy
becoming the
and you wanna
norm.
refer to it.
I will say, I think it's less about staying for 4 or 5 years and more about staying with one school. You know, you can leave after 2 or 3 years. And You
Yeah.
can still leave with the same amount of
That's a good way to
pride
put
for
it.
your school, I guess.
I agree with that. It's hard. I forget who it was who said it. But it's hard if you're jumping school to school to school. Where do you say where's your allegiance?
Yeah.
And maybe that's not important. It might not be. I mean, the same people who are diehard and have man caves built to their team, whoever that team may be, the 49ers, the Las Vegas Knights, the Detroit Tigers, whoever it may be, those same people oftentimes are going, I don't care where he goes. I don't care that they're jumping school to school. But if you lose that one player that is your homegrown guy, oh my God.
All hell's
your
breaking
front
loose.
office failed you. Yeah. How dare you leave? How dare you let him leave? Don't you dare take Tarek Skubal from me. Speaking of baseball, Buster Olney, who's a well-respected writer for ESPN, came out with his top 5 players at each position. Okay. And he gave them a historical grade and combined WAR and when's the last great season of a group of individuals at one spot. The number 1 position is shortstop with Bobby Witt Jr., Geraldo Perdomo, Gunnar Henderson, Francisco Lindor, Corey Seager, and to many Tiger fans, Kevin McGonigal too. Who's not quite there yet.
That was good. I like that you slipped that in there.
I really, really, really like McGonigal. Okay, I really do. I'm not being a smartass here. I think you just got to be careful. You got to be patient. That's all. All right. I'd love it if he were Tony Gwynn from a hitting standpoint, right? With more pop. I don't know if did I say this yesterday? Tony Gwynn. Here's your story. Tony Gwynn, your grandfather would love this. Tony Gwynn averaged on a year 22 strikeouts. Digest that for just a moment. For a season, last year, there were 130 players who had 22 strikeouts by the end of April.
Yeah. Do you think that says, and don't take this the wrong way, do you think that says more about Tony Gwynn, or do you think that says more about the game right now?
Yeah, it probably says more about Tony Gwynn.
I would agree. I just am curious to see, because when you have that big of a trend with modern hitting, I think it begs the question. But Tony Gwynn, that's insane. Talk about seeing the ball. I mean, my God.
Could 2 things be true at the same time?
Of course.
Yeah.
They often are, in fact.
Yeah. His strikeouts in his career are 434. It's in a career, man.
Over how many seasons?
15.
I'm just doing some math here.
Okay.
So if you played
20,
15 seasons,
20 years.
Okay.
20
well, that's even better.
Okay.
Divided by 20, that's 21 strikeouts per year. 21.7.
Yeah, that's what I said. 22 a year. Right.
Yes.
Right. So when you have something like that,
that's insane.
You're going, I come on, right? So remember that number, all right? James Wood, who's a good player, okay, for Washington. He's a young player, but he's a good player. He already has 318 in 2 years. Actually, it's really a year and a half. A year and a half, he has 318. Think about that for a minute. And by the way, he's an all-star.
He has 73% of the total strikeouts in Gwynn's career already. Through, his young career. And he's a good player, like you said. I mean, we view him as a good player.
He will pass him. I bet you he passes Tony Gwynn for career strikeouts.
By July?
I was going to say at the end of July. He needs 116 to pass him. How crazy is that?
It's absolutely nuts.
Yeah. That puts it in perspective. But that was, we can talk about different eras all you want. You're going to get a fight from a lot of people if you try to tell me that certain guys couldn't play in today's era. It's a joke, because then I would say, okay, give me a guy from this era and see how they would do back then against Nolan Ryan, Greg Maddux, John Smoltz. I can go on and on and on.
And having to face that guy for a fourth time in a game because he's pitching the entire game.
And because that guy's setting you up early in the game. Oh, and by the way, go in against J.R. Richards, who will throw at your ear hole if you crowd the plate. Nolan Ryan will throw at your ear hole. Don Drysdale will throw at your ear hole. Sandy Koufax, Denny McClain, Mickey Lolich, those guys, they will throw inside. Tom Seaver, they'll throw inside on you. Yes, those guys could pitch today. And yes, you would struggle against them when you played back in the day. But still, Buster only had those top five. Look, Kevin McGonigal, man, love him. He's going to be a really good player. Let's just let it play out. This is what we said earlier in the show. Let it play out for a minute, okay? Catcher, top five. Cal Raleigh, Alejandro Kirk, Will Smith, Patrick Bailey, William Contreras, okay? How many Tigers, include the DH, how many Tigers do you think are in his top five?
Top five.
Top five at their position.
And we're not counting our starting pitchers involved, or no?
Starting pitchers are not involved.
Okay, so because obviously Scoob will be in there, yes.
For sure.
I think Riley Green's got to be top five. Probably 4 or 5, I would guess. And other than that, I can't give you another name.
Excuse me, you're right. It's Riley Green and only Riley Green. Riley Green is listed as the second best left fielder in the game.
Okay, I like it.
According to Buster Olney. Okay. He's got Juan Soto, Riley Green, Cody Bellinger, Jackson Churio, Kyle Stowers. Doesn't mean he's right, but that's who he has right now. And if you look at some of the other ones that he's got, and it makes a lot of sense. It's not like this guy just threw a bunch of names in a hat and pulled them out. He's got Aaron Judge, Corbin Carroll, Fernando Tatis, Ronald Acuna, Kyle Tucker in right field. Most people would agree with that, right? Third base, Jose Ramirez, Junior Caminario, who had a nice day for Dominican Republic yesterday. Alex Bregman, Manny Machado, Michael Garcia, a little surprise for me there. Center field, he's got Julio Rodriguez, Pete Crow Armstrong, Dalton Varsho, Byron Buxton, Jackson Merrill. Makes sense, right?
You're right. When you start listing these players, Shep, it does, with all due respect, you cannot even begin to build a case for any other Tiger other than Riley Green to be in the top 5. Now, if you extend it to top 10, you could get cute. But top 5, it's inarguable. The only top 5 guy at his position is Riley Green.
Yeah, think about the right field I just mentioned. Like, I know people love Kerry Carpenter. I like him too. He's a great dude. And I love his power. I mentioned those right fielders. You taking him over any of those right fielders?
No.
I like Spencer Torkelson. I always have. He's a down-to-earth. He's a good guy. He works his ass off. He's got swing and miss. No doubt there's a lot of people do. First baseman, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Matt Olson, Nick Kurtz, Pete Alonso, Freddie Freeman. Tough to fight you over that one. You can get into the Dylan Dingler debate if you want to.
We just got a text about that just rolled in. It says Dylan Dingler will be top 5 by June.
Could be.
I like it. I could see it.
Yep. So here, but the first thing you have to do is you have to mention those top 5 players at that position, according to, again, this is according to one guy. It's according to Buster Olney. All right. He's seen a lot of baseball. Okay. So I give him a ton of credit. The question is, do you think he's going to be above Alejandro Kirk and William Contreras? They didn't even put Shea Langoliers in there, and Cal Riley. I mean, we talked about Salvador Perez yesterday. Will Smith, no doubt.
Sean Murphy.
Awesome player. Sean Murphy had a down year last year. Yep. Okay. Let me ask you this. And we don't, this is tough to project. What's the ceiling for Dylan Dingler?
Well, I mean,
what do you think? I mean, is he?
You mean for his career or this season?
No, for his career. I mean, where do you view him as in terms of like home run production? He had 13 homers a year ago.
Yeah,
not bad for a rookie.
Not bad at all.
I mean, not bad at all.
No, I think he could hit close to. I think he could hit close to 30 a year. I know that's a lot, but I love his power.
That is a lot.
I love his power. Let me say 25. How's that? Is that better?
Okay.
25 homers a year and close to a 300 average. I think that's, and as a Gold Glove catcher, I think that's a ceiling, which he already is.
He was a Gold Glover last year. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Good. I like that.
What do you say?
I'm interested in the power. I really am. If he gave me on a regular basis 25 to 30 bombs and 85 RBIs, I'd be pretty happy.
Yeah, see, I said initially close to 30. Like, I'm with you. I think 25 should be the goal, but I could see him getting to 28 or 30, right? He's not going to put up Cal Raleigh numbers, but
yeah,
I like Dingler a lot. I really do.
Yeah, that's kind of freakish. I don't view him like that. But I think he is a minimum 25 homer guy who can drive in 85 runs for you. And if that were the case, we would all be pretty damn happy.
No doubt.
Okay. I'm not saying it's really important or that the batting average isn't important. We know that slugging and things of that nature are pretty important. It is really hard to hit 25 homers and drive in 80 at that position. So Shea Langoliers last year had 31 bombs. He drove in 72. Alejandro Kirk had 15 homers and 76 runs driven in. Cal Raleigh, as you know, 60 and 1 1/4. Salvador Perez, 30 and 100. It's not easy. William Contreras is a really good catcher, you guys. 17 and 76. 25 is a lot for that position. It's more taxing than any position on the field. You are working with so many different pitchers. You're working every single different hitter, and you've got to know that scouting report, and then you're trying to find your way offensively. And if you're struggling offensively, you have to find a way to push your way through it, forget about it, and work on your defense. Because you can't take a pitch off. Shortstop might get a pitch or two off because that one's low and away, and it's not coming to him. That one's high and tight, and it ain't coming to him. Catcher can't do that. So asking somebody 25 and 85 is a lot while handling a pitching staff, knowing you're not going to play 162, all right? That's a really hard thing to do. I would love to, but him hitting 13 is what makes you think he can hit 25. Between 25 and 30.
That's exactly what it is. Like, we're projecting based on what we saw last season. And I think that's a doable goal.
Yeah, I would remind you. I mean, who's the best catcher you ever saw?
Pudge Rodriguez, probably.
Okay. Or Yadier Molina as of late?
Sure.
Okay. Because Yadier Molina's career high is 22 home runs.
Yeah, and let me clarify. I don't know if you were saying this. I don't necessarily – I'm not asking for this season. I just, if we're talking ceiling, when he hits his prime, maybe in 2 or 3 years, that's where I'm saying. So if he does only hit 21 this year, is that a failure? Hell no. That's a great season so far.
How many times in Pudge Rodriguez's career, and it was an incredible career of 21 years, did he hit 20 or homers in a game? Or in a season? Excuse me.
4.
20 or more home runs?
4.
5.
Okay. I lowballed you, Pudge. Sorry.
So out of 21, so a quarter of his career, he hit 20 or more homers. Okay? He had 20, 21, 35, 27, 25. That was in a stretch with Texas. It ain't easy. So if Dylan Dingler gives you between 20 and 25, and he drives in 85 runs.
Where do I sign?
Runs. Yeah, where do you sign? Because Pudge Rodriguez had a season where he drove in 86, drove in 91, 113, drove in 85, 86. It's really hard. Okay? We have to temper our expectations. 20 to 25, 80 to 85 you'd be thrilled with that from a catcher. Let's get to the final results of the poll question. We have them for you every day. It's a Mitch Lyons Wealth poll question. Here it is. Do you like the Lions trade of David Montgomery to Houston? Yes or no?
Fans separating head and heart. They said 72% of them liked the trade.
Good for them. And how was the daily wager last night?
Not good because I bet on the Pistons. Bottom line, I had Isaiah Stewart's 10-plus points. He only had 4. Today, we'll go back to the Wings because that was a winner, it was a push on Monday. They host the Vegas Golden Knights tonight at 7. I'll take the over 6 goals in that game.
We'll be back to talk about it tomorrow here on X's and Bros. Our thanks to Tim Hardaway, John Macarone, but most of all to you for your opportunity to let us talk sports with you on a Wednesday morning. Have a great rest of your Wednesday. Don't forget the huge show later on today at 3 o'clock.
In the Den with Dan Dickerson.
Lake Michigan Credit Union is proud to be the presenter.